Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying these episodes with us. Today, we're going to make learning English easier and more fun, especially if you're just starting out.
Hi everyone. Yeah, we've gone through some really interesting resources for this deep dive, and we're excited to share everything we found with you guys.
Okay, so imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching your favorite movie, the one you know by heart, but it's in English.
Okay.
And you're singing along to a catchy pop song, and you know every single word.
Wow.
Think that sounds impossible right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. These are just some of the fun ways that you can actually pick up English without even realizing you're learning.
That's amazing.
It's true.
Wow. So how do we do that?
Wow.
How do we learn without realizing we're learning?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's all about making English a natural part of your day.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. When you were a child, learning your first language,
Yeah.
you didn't crack open a textbook, right?
Oh.
You learned by listening, watching, and doing.
Yeah.
And you can do the same thing with English.
So just kind of immerse yourself in it.
Exactly. So let's get into some specifics.
Okay.
One of the first things that really stood out to me in the research was the power of subtitles.
Oh.
You know those words that appear at the bottom of the screen when you're watching a movie or a TV show?
Mm-hmm.
They can actually help you in a really cool way.
I love subtitles.
Me too.
Yeah.
So at first, they can help you understand what's happening if you don't catch all the spoken words.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Subtitles do way more than just translate.
Oh, really?
As you read along, you start to connect those written words with the sounds you're hearing.
Okay.
It's like a secret code to unlocking pronunciation.
Oh, that's a really cool way to put it.
Yeah, it's like a pronunciation cheat sheet.
Okay.
You start to notice how certain letters and combinations sound,
Huh?
and you can even pick up on the rhythm and intonation of spoken English.
Wow.
Plus, you'll be surprised how quickly you start recognizing common words and phrases
Right.
just from seeing them repeatedly in the subtitles.
Yeah, that repetition is so key.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like learning a new song.
Mm-hmm.
At first, you might stumble through the lyrics,
Yeah.
but after a few listens, you're singing along like a pro.
Right.
Same with English.
Oh, I like that.
So, speaking of singing along,
Okay.
let's talk about music.
Yes.
There's a reason why those catchy tunes get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Music is actually a really powerful tool for learning.
I totally agree. Music is fantastic
Yeah.
because it engages your brain on so many different levels. You're
Yeah.
listening to the sounds, you're focusing on the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes you're even moving to the beat.
Exactly.
And all of this helps create stronger memories and makes it easier to learn new words and phrases.
Plus, let's be honest,
Okay.
it's way more fun than memorizing vocabulary lists.
Yes.
So turn up your favorite English songs, sing along, even if you don't know all the words,
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoy the experience.
And don't worry about making mistakes.
Exactly.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
And here's a bonus tip for you.
Okay.
Pay attention to the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Look them up if you need to.
Yeah.
Try to understand their meaning
Uh-huh.
and notice how the words are used in different contexts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, don't just passively listen to music.
Okay.
Really engage with it.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're feeling adventurous,
Yeah.
you could even try writing your own songs in English.
That's a fantastic idea.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a creative way to practice using the new words and grammar you're learning.
Definitely.
Okay, so you've got movies and music covered.
Okay.
But what about those times when you're not watching TV or listening to tunes?
Right.
How can you keep that English learning going?
Well, one of the simplest yet most effective techniques is actually something you can do anytime,
Okay.
anywhere. And it's completely free.
Really?
It's called talking to yourself.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Like full-on conversations with myself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Okay.
It might sound a little strange at first,
Yeah.
but trust me, it works wonders.
Okay.
Think of it this way. When you talk to yourself, you're not worried about making mistakes or sounding silly.
Right.
You're free to experiment, to try out different words and phrases, and to build your confidence.
So I can be my own personal English tutor.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what are some things I could practice saying to myself?
You can start with really simple things.
Okay.
Describe what you're doing, like, I'm making breakfast, I'm getting dressed.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself questions like, what should I do today? Where should I go? You can even pretend to have conversations with other people.
Wow.
Just get those words flowing.
So it's like a dress rehearsal for real-life conversations.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
And the best part is I can't really mess it up.
Yeah.
Because there's no one to judge me.
Exactly. And you know what?
Right.
Even if you do make mistakes, that's totally fine.
It is.
Mistakes are actually a really important part of learning.
Okay.
They help you identify areas where you need to improve.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so caught up in trying to be perfect
Right.
that I forget that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah,
It's all part of the process.
absolutely. And, speaking of making mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best ways to get over that fear is to find a language partner or join a language exchange group.
That sounds a little scary.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense. Talking to another person would really push me to actually use the language in a real-world setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything formal.
Oh.
You can find someone online, or maybe you have a friend or family member who is also learning English.
Oh, okay.
Just start with simple conversations, ask each other questions, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've talked about subtitles, music, talking to myself, and finding a language partner.
Right.
What else can I do to create that immersive English environment?
Well, have you ever thought about turning your home into a giant vocabulary builder?
A giant vocabulary builder. What do you mean by that?
I'm talking about sticky notes, my friend.
Sticky notes.
Okay, sticky notes are your secret weapon for learning English at home.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these sticky note superpowers.
It's simple. Really, just grab a stack of sticky notes and start labeling things around your house with their English names.
Okay.
The fridge, the door, the table, the chair, everything gets a label.
So I'm basically turning my entire house into a giant English dictionary.
Exactly.
I like it.
And here's why this works so well. Every time you walk past one of those labels, you're getting a quick reminder of the English word for that object.
Oh, okay.
It's like passive vocabulary building without even trying.
That's genius.
Yeah.
And the best part is it's super easy to do. I could even get my family involved.
Absolutely.
We could all learn together.
Yeah, you can even take it a step further and write short sentences on the sticky notes.
Okay.
For example, instead of just labeling the fridge, you could write, "This is a big fridge."
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It helps me see how the words are used in context.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm sold on the sticky notes.
Okay.
What other fun and easy tips do you have for me?
Well, have you ever considered using apps or online games to learn English?
I've heard of those, but I've never actually tried any. Are they any good?
There are some truly amazing apps and games out there that make learning English fun and engaging.
Really?
They use interactive exercises, games, and quizzes
Okay.
to help you learn new words, practice grammar, and improve your pronunciation.
So it's like having a mini English tutor right in my pocket.
Exactly. And many of these apps are free or very affordable, making them accessible to everyone.
That's great. Do you have any specific apps or games you recommend?
There are tons of great options out there. But a couple of popular ones to start with are Duolingo and Memrise.
Okay.
They're both free and have a wide variety of activities to keep you entertained while you learn.
Cool. I'm definitely going to check those out.
Awesome. And hey, don't forget about the classic word games like Scrabble and crosswords.
Oh, yeah.
They're fantastic for expanding your vocabulary and having fun at the same time.
Those are great suggestions. I love how all of these tips make learning English feel less like a chore and more like a fun activity.
That's the key, right? When you enjoy the learning process, you're more likely to stick with it and see real progress.
I couldn't agree more.
Welcome back to our deep dive into making English learning fun and easy.
We've covered some really cool stuff so far, like using subtitles and music to your advantage, and even turning your home into a vocabulary playground with sticky notes.
And remember, talking to yourself in English can actually be a really effective way to practice. Don't be shy, give it a try.
I'm definitely going to try that one. I think it could be a fun way to warm up my English muscles before I dive into a conversation with someone else.
That's a great point. It's like a mental rehearsal for real life interactions. And speaking of interacting with others, let's talk more about finding a language partner.
You mentioned language exchange groups earlier. Can you tell me more about how those work?
Sure. A language exchange is basically a partnership where two people who are learning each other's native languages help each other practice. So you might spend some time speaking English with your partner and then switch to their language for another part of the conversation.
That sounds like a win-win situation. I get to practice my English and I get to help someone else learn my language. Where can I find these language exchange partners?
There are tons of websites and apps specifically designed for finding language exchange partners. Some popular ones include HelloTalk, Tandem, and Conversation Exchange. You can create a profile, search for partners based on your interests and language goals, and then start chatting.
That's amazing. I had no idea. It was so easy to connect with people from all over the world who are also learning languages.
It's a fantastic way to not only improve your language skills, but also to learn about different cultures and make new friends.
I love that. Speaking of connecting with people, I've always wondered about the best way to approach reading in English. It can feel a bit overwhelming when I first start.
Reading is definitely a key skill to master, and it doesn't have to be daunting. A great starting point is to choose materials that are enjoyable and match your current level. Don't feel pressured to dive into complex novels right away.
So what kind of materials would you suggest for someone just starting out?
Children's books are a great option. They use simple language, fun stories, and often have lots of pictures to help you understand the context. Comic books are another fantastic choice because they combine visuals with dialogue, making it easier to follow along.
That makes sense. I hadn't thought about comic books before, but they could be a fun way to ease into reading. What about something a bit longer, like articles or short stories?
Those are great next steps. You can find websites and apps that offer simplified news articles or graded readers, which are books specifically written for English language learners. And here's a pro tip. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on grasping the main idea and look up unfamiliar words only if they seem really important to the overall meaning.
That's a relief. Sometimes I get bogged down in trying to translate every single word, and it makes reading feel like a chore.
I totally get it. Remember, the goal is to enjoy the process and gradually build your comprehension skills.
I like that approach. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And as you get more comfortable with reading, you can start tackling more challenging materials. You'll be surprised how quickly you start seeing improvements in your vocabulary and grammar.
Speaking of grammar, I know it's important, but sometimes it feels like the most difficult part of learning English. Do you have any tips for making grammar a bit less intimidating?
Grammar can definitely be tricky, but there are ways to make it less overwhelming. First, remember that you don't need to memorize every single grammar rule right away. Focus on the most common and essential ones and gradually build from there.
That sounds much more manageable. What are some good resources for learning basic English grammar?
There are tons of excellent resources out there. Websites like Grammarly and English Central offer clear explanations and interactive exercises. You can also find grammar books specifically designed for English language learners at different levels. And don't forget about the power of practice. The more you use English, the more naturally those grammar rules will start to click.
Practice really does make a difference. But sometimes it can be hard to stay motivated, especially when I hit a roadblock or feel like I'm not making progress. Do you have any advice for staying on track with my language learning journey?
Motivation is key, and it's totally normal to have ups and downs. The important thing is to have strategies in place for those moments when you feel discouraged.
So what kind of strategies can I use to keep that motivation going strong?
One powerful technique is to set realistic and achievable goals. Instead of aiming for fluency right away, break down your learning journey into smaller, more manageable steps.
That makes sense. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed when I think about everything I need to learn, but focusing on smaller goals could help me stay more focused and motivated.
Exactly. And remember to celebrate your achievements along the way, no matter how small they may seem. Each step forward is a victory worth recognizing.
I love that celebrating my progress could definitely help me stay positive and motivated.
And sometimes the best way to reignite your passion for learning English is to simply remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place.
That's a really good point. Sometimes I get so caught up in the day-to-day learning process that I forget about the bigger picture.
Think about the doors that English can open for you. The opportunity to connect with people from all over the world, to travel to new places, to experience different cultures, to expand your career opportunities, and to simply enjoy a wider range of books, movies, and music.
Wow, when you put it that way, it's incredibly inspiring. English really is a powerful tool for connecting with the world.
Absolutely. So keep that bigger picture in mind and let it fuel your motivation to keep learning and growing.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I
Mhm.
feel like I have a whole new toolkit of strategies to use on my English learning journey.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, we have even more tips and insights coming your way in the final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. I'm ready for more.
Me too. Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about a ton of different strategies already, from watching movies with subtitles to using sticky notes to create like a vocabulary wonderland in your home.
Right, right. And we've also explored connecting with other people, like
Mhm.
finding a language exchange partner
Mhm.
or joining a group of fellow learners.
That's right. So as we wrap things up, what are some of the key takeaways that you really want our listeners to remember as they continue on their English learning journey?
Hmm. Well, first and foremost, remember that learning a new language is a process and not a race.
Okay.
Be kind to yourself, celebrate those small wins, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Great.
Mistakes are actually really valuable learning opportunities in disguise.
It's true. Sometimes I get so focused on reaching the end goal
Hmm.
that I forget to just like appreciate the journey itself.
Exactly. And each step of the way, you're gaining new skills and expanding your understanding of the world.
That's a good point.
It's a really enriching experience.
It is, yeah.
Another thing that we've touched on is the importance of finding what works best for you.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to language learning.
That's true.
Experiment with different methods, explore different resources, and pay attention to what resonates with your learning style and your interests.
I think it's also really important to try to personalize your learning experience
Yeah.
by connecting it to things that you're already passionate about.
Exactly. If you love music, use songs to learn new vocabulary and practice pronunciation. If you're a movie buff, watch films in English with subtitles.
Yeah, by incorporating English into activities you already enjoy, you'll make that learning process more fun, more engaging, and you're going to be way more likely to stick with it.
So true. And speaking of sticking with it,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked a lot about motivation and how important it is to stay inspired throughout this journey.
It's key.
What are some final tips that you can share for keeping that motivation burning bright?
Okay, well, one powerful strategy is to visualize your goals.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine yourself confidently speaking English
Okay.
in situations that matter most to you,
Mm.
whether it's traveling to a new country, having a conversation with a friend, or even advancing in your career.
I love that visualizing success can be so motivating.
It can.
It really helps you see the possibilities that open up
Right.
when you master a new language.
Exactly. Another tip is to create a supportive learning environment for yourself.
Oh, good idea.
Surround yourself with people who encourage you.
Okay.
Seek out online communities of other language learners
Hmm.
and find resources that just make learning fun and engaging.
That's such great advice. Learning a language doesn't have to be a solitary endeavor.
Right.
Connecting with other people who share your goals
Yeah.
can provide a really great sense of camaraderie and accountability.
It's true. It's always good to have someone to practice with.
Exactly.
And finally, remember that learning English is an ongoing journey and not a destination.
So true.
There will always be more to learn and discover, so embrace that process of continuous growth and improvement.
That's a great note to end on.
It is. Embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never stop exploring the world of English.
Well said. I think that's a wrap for us today.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and inspiring.
And if you're enjoying these deep dives, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.